if you do want to create great content, the main objective, you've got to have a good hook. You've got to want that audience to be sticking around and watching. And the lighting, like I mentioned, really is everything. I'd say those two things are really the biggest thing that can separate great content from good or bad content, and really just being authentic in the process of it all.
Be the story. Welcome to the NIL Crash Series, How to Survive and Dominate in 2025. Hi, I'm Jay Hicks, founder of Sports and Entertainment and Brand&Athlete. We're talking about something that is literally flipping NIL upside down. Brands are already scoring athletes. AI is doing it in the background. Engagement over followers, professionalism over popularity. And if you don't know the scorecard, you're already behind. My guest today, my man. He's one of those dudes that's just kind of built something out of nothing. Like was in college, hitting dingers, playing baseball, and then boom, injury. And a lot of guys at that point just fade out, start selling Cutco knives, Ubering around town, but this dude, Nic Hemken, he goes and gets himself a degree in data analytics at Florida Gulf Coast. Bro was in his dorm room, sitting on twin Excel sheets, probably eating ramen noodles, and just decides, I'm going to build Elevate Sports Management. I'm going to help athletes figure out this new NIL jungle. I have to say, I'm so excited for this conversation. Nic, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me here today, Jay. Super excited to chop it up, all things NIL, and whatever else comes our way. So really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you're one of the things we're talking about offline is that, you're someone who's out in the trenches, right? You're working with athletes, you're signing them up, you're showing them how to get more followers and understanding it's all about engagement and professionalism. What has it been like for you so far? Like getting in early into this business. Some people say it's the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, no, it's been super interesting. I think for me, starting my own company, it really wasn't something that came with like a long-term plan, anything like that. I was in my bedroom one day, college senior, data analytics degree, AI is coming along, and had just finished up an internship, and really decided for myself. It was in the sports management realm, and I decided I'm going to start up my own NIL business, and it's been super cool. Just seeing even since last September, how much has changed. Obviously, with the House settlement going through,
Mhm.
a lot has changed from that. But on the true NIL side of things, the real NIL, where that long-term money really can be made,
Yep.
whether it's brand building and things of that nature. That's just what I'm really excited about. What gets me going. And it's been a journey, like you said. Definitely can see why some people think it's the wild, wild west. But what NIL was intended to be,
Yeah.
that's not what it was not intended to be, the wild, wild west. It's pretty cut and dry. There's two really sides of NIL. I'll always call it your true NIL, and then you have the pay for play, obviously,
Yep.
which those get intertwined. And to the average fan or the average person, I could see why you would mix that up.
Yep.
But to people in the industry who really are boots on the ground, you really know the difference between the two. And so,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah, I'm just super excited, again, to just share more on here about how that journey's been like. But it's been an awesome past year. It started around a year ago today,
Yep.
and yeah,
Yep.
super excited just to talk a little bit more about it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And one of the things too, we're going to talk a lot of today about the AI-driven scorecard. We're going to dive into that. We're going to talk a little bit about your story first. And I'm really excited because I think this series and this conversation overall is really because there is a crisis that's brewing, right? It's like I feel like it's an iceberg. You could just see the tip. And there's people out here who think it's 2019 social media. And today we're going to unpack it. And I'm excited because you're a practitioner. You're out doing deals, talking to people. And the reason why this is so important is that some of the time, some of the people who are writing stories, or maybe some of the people who are on TV talking about these topics, they're not really in the trenches. They're just kind of telling people what they've learned from talking to folks, which is great. And there's journalism and reporting is valuable, but there's also the excitement of talking to someone who's doing it. So before we get into that, though, I've got to talk about this. This show is produced by Hicks Sports and Entertainment, and really excited. We started almost a year ago, and the idea is amplifying and talking about NIL, education, and entertainment. And conversations like today are so exciting. So, all right, are you ready? Are you strapped in? Are you ready to get into it?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
I love that. You're always every time I talk to you, I gotta tell you guys this. Every time I talk to Nick, he's locked and loaded and ready to go. So um got to talk to you about your origin story. I believe behind every great brand is a great story, right? We know that that Apple was started in a garage. We know all the great stories. But before we get tactical and talk about AI and infographics, I want to give people your story. What made you jump into NIL? What made you say elevate sports management, and why now?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's a long-winded answer that comes from I'd say 20 plus years of my life. I started it when I was 22. Now I'm 23, about to be 24. But really, what I think is the main factor of me starting it out really is just my competitive spirit overall. Grew up, and here comes my background, but from St. Louis, Missouri. I say
Hold on,
St. Louis.
shout out to St. Louis,
Yeah,
Missouri, my
shout
hometown as
out
well.
618, not the 314 though. We hold it down here in Southern Illinois. I'm from Edwardsville, right on the other side of the river.
Mhm.
But no, grew up in baseball, basketball, football, and really my entire life it was sports, and really didn't have an identity outside of it. And I'll talk a little bit more about this later. But I think I was so consumed with my overall dream, my ambition, my biggest life goal was to play in the MLB. I played with kids who are in the minor leagues right now. Everyone kind of around me was going and playing at that next level. I tore my labrum my junior year, which is really the main just recruiting year for high school baseball. That's when the
Absolutely.
coaches are coming to the games. You're sending emails, going to camps if necessary, things of that nature. And for me, when I tore my labrum, it was a lot of like, poor me. Like, why does this have to happen to me? And I feel like I felt bad for myself for a long time. Was I went to a Division II Truman State, played baseball,
Shout out
same
to Truman
injury.
State.
Yeah, shout out to all my Bulldogs out there. But no, I played Division II baseball for a year. I say play, I was on the team. But one of the
Real
first
quick, what
practices,
was your transition like going from high school? And we
yeah,
know I don't care what level of baseball. I've been to some junior college games where guys literally the next year were in the MLB. The
oh yeah, and
talent is profound.
100%. I think we definitely had some really talented people on our Truman State team. One of my best friends, I was just in his wedding this summer. He was absolutely raking playing as a freshman, played all 4 years there. And there really were a lot of talented people. I think the transition for me, and I'll be the first to admit, I really wasn't that hard of a worker, especially when I was a younger kid. I feel like I really let my talent just my natural talent take the
Mhm.
way for me. I did work. I worked hard. Like I guess I would just say, like during game days or during the season, like I'm taking my work seriously.
Yeah.
But any great knows that that's not what really moves the needle. And so the transition, it kind of hit me like a truck, I would say. Right when I got to Truman, it was that COVID year, so we had
Oh,
player only
man.
led. Yeah,
That
so
was
it was
crazy.
it was crazy. I mean, you're wearing masks while you're hitting off the tee, like you're wearing a mask under your catcher's mitt
Yeah.
or your
Wait, you
catcher's
guys
helmet.
had to
Sorry.
wear mask underneath your catcher's mitt?
Yeah, so we had to wear masks to class.
Wow.
Most people would just wear them outside. Like it was our campus in particular was very tough on making sure you're wearing masks. And so yeah, it was definitely a weird transition. There's so much going on like in baseball and life.
Yeah.
Like you're moving. This was the first time I was ever really away from my parents, and like family's everything to me. And so it was just really tough. It was a tough transition, but really met some cool guys there, some people I'm still in contact with today. And really just that entire year, I think it shaped a lot about who I am moving forward. And so, yeah, just to kind of compound on everything from Truman State towards the end of that year, I was still hurt. My labrum still killed me. I could barely throw the ball. It was just a pain. And so I decided like I need to hang the cleats up. It was super tough for me. I did put my name in like the transfer portal to see if I could go play at another school, things of that nature.
Yeah.
But honestly, it was just I felt something in my heart that I just didn't love it anymore.
Was that
And
hard for
looking
you?
back, yeah, I mean, like when something's I've talked to this a lot to a lot of my buddies and just people, similar, just athletes who have made that transition to where, and you'll see it with college athletes today, like you're the man or
Right.
the woman wherever you are. If it's your high school, and then you go play in college, you're on these teams. And that transition outside of it, it's something that I don't think it's talked about enough. It's definitely like super tough on me. It was a big shot at my ego, that was for sure. Whenever you're really just like at Truman State, for example,
Yeah.
there we got 30 kids on the baseball team. So
Oh, yeah.
all the athletes when you're going to class, people are looking at you, even at Division two. And so it was definitely a little ego shot. But once I transferred to Florida Gulf Coast University,
Yeah.
I kind of found I guess just another home. I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan. If we
Yeah.
want to talk some outside of NIL stuff, I decided to go to a school that's closest, or the first school that accepted me closest to Miami. So
Wow.
my
Wow.
sophomore through senior year, every Sunday was just me waking up at 6 in the morning and driving up to the other side of Florida to make sure I'm at these Dolphin games. But
Wow.
yeah, that's
And
kind of
so you're in the 305. Let me ask you
yeah.
this. What was that moment when you were sitting there? Was it at Truman or was it when you got down to Miami that you really said, "Hey man, um, I think I want to do this NIL agency thing." Walk me
Yeah,
through
and
that.
so yeah, for sure. I think for me, I didn't know until my senior year of college. So this would have been around this time last year when I just finished up an internship with. It was a music management company, but we started up their entire NIL division. When that
Wow.
wrapped up, yeah. So when
So
that
talk
wrapped
to me.
up,
What did that look like? Like, what were you guys doing that unit overall?
yeah, so we had, I think it was like 8 interns, and we were tasked with just signing collegiate athletes and then
Mhm.
trying to help them get NIL deals. Looking back at it, it was definitely a wild experience, and how everything went down. Really, it was just me asking my friends, "Hey, I need to sign this amount of athletes for my internship. Like, I'd really appreciate if you allowed me to sign you to our agency at that point." So that was with another management company.
Okay.
And when it concluded, in my mind, I just thought, this is something I really like to do. Why not do it on my own? And I was at Planet Fitness, literally again this time last year, and it just hit me. A little bit of a riff-raff with the former company, and I just decided, like, in the snap of a finger, when I woke up at 8 a.m. that day, I was going back to this company and I was gonna work for them.
Wow.
When 10 o'clock rolled around and I'm in the gym, um, I'm like, all right, well, why don't we start up our own thing? And so started up
I
Elevate
love
Sports,
this.
got the LLC. I mean, that meeting, I honestly won't ever
So did you
forget.
do it online or did you go to an attorney? Talk to me because I love the origin story, man.
Yeah, I will say I did it wrong. This is the opposite of a sponsorship or a shout out. Do not go through LegalZoom for any of your business creation needs. I've had such a headache going with that. But with that being said, just that me and a college buddy who had created his own business, I'll never forget going to his apartment and then putting in like all my card numbers, and then you press like create a few
Yeah.
days. I think it was like 2 days later you get like something in the mail or something, or maybe it was
Wow.
like an email saying, oh, your business entity is now created. And it was such like a cool moment for me.
Yeah.
I feel like my entire life I was so wrapped up, like I mentioned, like my end goal is to be playing in the MLB. Like this is the only thing I really had thought about like accomplishing, and
Mhm.
just creating my own business was something that came with like a lot of pride for me. I was super excited just to get
Yeah.
started doing that. And so it was a crazy experience. But yeah, it's now led to me managing 16 different athletes,
Yeah,
predominantly female athletes across the country.
sure.
And just in a year, it's really shaped my perspective on a lot of different things, and really has just been super fulfilling to be able to help a lot of these athletes out. But
Got a quick
that's kind of
question
my
for you.
origin.
I have to
Yeah.
ask you about this because you're an entrepreneur. Most people don't think about that. They think of you as an NIL agent. You're an entrepreneur. You're an operator, and you're building this thing brick by brick. What makes your approach different than the more like old school traditional agents?
Yeah, I feel like just from my perspective, being a former athlete, I've heard horror stories like, and the word agent has such a negative connotation, and
Sure.
sometimes it is for the right reasons. I do think there are a lot of people, maybe I should say a decent amount of people that are in it for the wrong reasons. I think on my side, like I'm representing athletes and I'm truly trying to help them build something that's going to outlast their college career. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot,
Legacy. I love
and
calling that legacy.
yeah, exactly. And so I think Sam Green says this best, but I remember her saying like NIL, it's not a 4-year opportunity, it's a 40-year opportunity. And so like
Yeah.
there's a lot of people in the NIL space. Like Sam, she has her own athlete convention
Yeah.
that we had like two of our athletes actually went this year, and they just came back raving. And those are the type of people that are truly building something for athletes, and they're not just looking out for, oh, maybe it's the Auburn football player, the Alabama football player. Now, you might represent some of these kids as an agent, and you might help cut a rev share check, or you're getting
Yep.
some money from their collective, whatever that may be. And in my mind, I don't think that that's a way to make a change. I wrote on my ceiling one of the first days I moved into my Miami apartment. I wrote "Change the world," and I put it like right on top of my bed, and that's something that I truly mean. Like I want to do something, I want to create something, and not just create this. I'm big on like personal motivation and
Hmm.
just like health and wellness stuff like that. I truly want to like change the world in some sense, and even if it's only like one person every so often, that's more than zero. And so that's something I do take to heart, and I think that's really, I guess, just what I would say truly does separate me. I'm a young kid. I was an athlete at one time. I know what you guys go through trying to build a brand and perform the best on the field. If you have someone in your corner who's able to help you out in any regard, then you definitely, or that's what I would like to be. And so that's what I do for my athletes. And I hope they would all vouch for me. And I know we all have that great relationship that they would. So,
Yeah, and I love what you're saying because, as we talk about, the origin story like Brand&Athlete, and the premise of it is that everyone is a brand first and whatever it is second. So for athletes, they're a brand first and an athlete, right? Because like you said, that Sam Green said it's not a 4-year deal, it's a 40-year deal. This is a legacy play. So I love it because I feel one of the things that you have and having worked with you, we'll get into that in a second, is that you understand the larger thing that's at play here. And so, for you, what do you think is the biggest thing in terms of a legacy play that you're seeing that athletes that you're working with are able to do?
yeah, I mean, I just think like the network that a lot of them have been able to build in terms of like the brands that they're working with.
Yeah,
We've got like so many amazing athletes, whether it's female or male. But I've seen specifically from certain athletes, they're creating great content. They're obviously growing their personal brand, their following,
yeah,
but they're also with these brands that they're working with, creating a personal relationship. So I always say, like, all right, well, say like Maddie Hayes is one of our athletes that we represent. We work with Freebird. They're a water company. It's like a group chat of friends that we all have where we're just shooting the crap in there and talking all the time.
yeah,
And she's really building like that network in that sense. And I think there's so many athletes. A really big inspiration for me is like Raymond Representation. They work with like sports and entertainment creators. They do
hmm,
work in NIL, but a lot of their athletes that I look to as kind of like examples or all really show their talent base to our current athletes. they just do such a great job with really creating an entrepreneurial mindset in all of their athletes. So they have athletes who are writing books. They have athletes who are like teaching right now. And so there's so many different ways that you're able to leverage your personal brand, whether it's you continuing to be a content creator and influencer and doing brand deals as your full-time gig,
Right.
or if you want to go to nursing school and to pay off your nursing school, you're going to create content, continue doing that.
Yep.
That's something that I see. And I just see a lot of athletes that are able to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And if you do take advantage of it, it's just an amazing opportunity and the best time in your life to be that entrepreneur, to start something up, to really grow your own personal brand, because you won't ever have these 4 years back. And this is the best time to do it.
Yeah, and I love that. And I want to talk about you. You mentioned some of your athletes. We've had friends of the show. Kennedy Webb from Washington
Yep.
State University. We've had Colorado's former Colorado Cardell Thomas, who's just tremendous person, right? Um, Guys that I've worked with, men and women that I've worked with, and you have a stable of athletes that you're working with. What did you see in them that others may have missed?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier. The followers, everyone wants to chase the followers. And I'll even admit, like, I was a product of that when I started. I think in some terms, followers definitely are a good metric to measure from a business perspective if you should be working with someone in that regard, whatnot.
Yeah,
But with people like Kennedy, if you look at her social media, she's doing like, I mean, she might, I don't know exactly where she ranks on the most followed athletes of mine. She does probably the most NIL deals out of any of the athletes that I have. And
yeah.
so you have people like Kennedy who are
Shout out to
doing it
Kennedy
right.
Webb, by the way.
Yeah, shout out K Dot. But I will just say those are two of the most authentic people I've met in my life. We did something with Cardell out in Colorado.
Yeah.
Me and Cardell, first time I ever met the guy. Hadn't even signed him yet. We're doing a Tacova shoot.
Yeah.
And shout out to Kovas for making that happen. But me and Cardell are just in the car for 2 hours, driving from the airport to southeast Colorado to go to a bison farm. And it honestly felt like I've been friends with this guy for like
Yeah.
years. And those are the type of
He's a
people.
real one.
Yeah, he's a real one. And it's people like that who make what you're doing worth your while. You could make a ton of money or you could represent whatever athletes, but I don't find true fulfillment unless you do have that personal connection with your
Right.
athletes. That's what I tell all of my athletes. I say, I don't want you to look at me as your agent, as your manager. Like, look at me as a friend. If you're
Right.
going through something, like, I want you to be able to talk to me. But I think people like Cardell, people like Kennedy, they're
Yeah.
just authentic in what they do. You can tell it's not a front. Even if they are promoting a product, you know that they like whatever that product
Yeah.
or brand is in that regard. And so, two of the most real people I've met out there, and really enjoy just being able to work with the both of them.
Yeah, shout out to Cardell. Okay, I cannot not
Yep.
shout him out. Cardell Thomas, he's great. We had a great conversation. I mean, I'm still releasing content from that. And he just has so many dimes that he's dropped. I mean, we've been doing this for almost a year. And I would say we might have the most amount of content out of an interview that we've had. And we had longer interviews, Nick. This isn't the
Oh yeah.
longest interview we had
He,
done.
he's been through it all. That's someone who really embodies what I think Elevate is about.
Yeah.
I started this and didn't really have a vision of where I wanted it to go. I slowly realized that the athletes I love working with, kind of the mission for this company, we want people who we just want grinders. We want people who are going to work day in and day out. I think it's my life story. Like I mentioned, I wanted to play in the MLB. I was a sports guy. That was my only identity as
Yeah.
being this athlete. And now, like you mentioned, I'm building my or trying to build my own personal brand and really
Yeah.
going all in on
Yeah.
that, as well as our Elevate brand. And so we really just we have a ton of people who share a common goal, a common interest. Yeah, I know I'm only a 23-year-old kid, but I'm going to work so hard for whatever athlete that I'm bringing on, and anyone that I work with. That's really what I tell all of our kids. I'm like, hey, I might not have the biggest network right now. I know I only started out a year ago, but I will tell you there's not going to be a single person that doesn't send out more emails than I do. There's not going to be a
Yeah.
single person that's working. I mean, around the clock like I am for you guys. And so it's just something I'm passionate about. And we really have a roster of athletes that really do just believe in the overall vision of where we're going. And I'm super appreciative for all of them that we do have right now.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of yours, and I would rephrase a little bit of what you said as an NIL coach and educator. I would say for you, your network isn't as big now as where it will be in 3 to 5 years.
Oh, 100%.
Stick with me now,
Oh, it's
right?
going
Because, like,
there.
you have to know that when you're on a run and when it's your time, and I feel like that's, what's happening for you. Like, I get super excited when I'm on LinkedIn and I see you announce a new athlete. I love what you guys have. I think you did like, I don't wanna say the company because then we might, it won't get, pushed out, but you had, a fast serve restaurant company and you had an athlete and then you guys had a graphic and you guys were sharing some momentum. I think I jumped in and commented. So I love that about you. And I just one of the things for you that I just even want to encourage you, man, just keep striving. Just, I think the people who align with you are gonna ride the wave with you. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show.
Yeah, no, and I really appreciate it. I think just like where I've been, it's really important. I was just saying to my parents yesterday, not being able to like be or not be short-sighted. I'm someone who, oh, I want it all. Like that's
Yeah.
just who I
Yeah.
am. If you ask me like, oh, like who do you want to be? I want to be like the Rich Paul of NIL, the Rich Paul of
Yeah.
athlete marketing,
Doing
whatever it
deals.
is. Yeah, and so I have so much inspiration for what he did, how he kind of came up, but in my mind, it's just really not like you're realizing in 1 year how much we've
Yeah.
been able to do. It's been so awesome. And I would say, like, I was still in college up until January of this
Yeah.
year. And so,
Yeah.
super excited about where we're going. And I just know that there's great things still to come. You'll see on the Instagram, on LinkedIn here this week, and then in the weeks to come, we've got some really cool stuff in the works. So I'm super
Okay.
excited about where we're
Okay.
going. But yeah, really appreciate that, Jay.
Yeah, no, and you just need what I call a STEMI package, right?
Yeah.
So STEMI package, one thing I've heard about you, you do a lot of calls, you do a lot of reaching out, and I always say a STEMI package is just the one that puts you over. Like for Rich Paul, his STEMI was LeBron, right? And it's just like keep going until you get to that moment. I think that's going to happen for you. And it leads me to my next question. I'm just curious, we're going to get into NIL next, but I just about you as an entrepreneur, as someone who's building, what drives you harder right now? Helping athletes win at NIL or proving people wrong who didn't think you'd make it?
Yeah, I guess I'll kind of start off with it. It's definitely, I just want to help the athletes out. I think if you're ever living to prove other people wrong, then you're living for the wrong reason. What I like to say, I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong. I'm trying to prove myself right.
Mm,
I'm super
mm,
big, just into knowing who I am as a person. If I allow someone else's opinion to really affect me, that means that I probably am not strong enough in my belief that I am who I say I am. I know I'm a hard worker. I know who I am. And I really just do this for the athletes. I've seen kind of both sides of the coin. Obviously, like we mentioned earlier, NIL, being an agent just has a
yeah,
negative connotation in that
yeah.
sense. You see, like Jerry Jones just comes out saying, "Oh, David Mogetta, I'm not going to work with you," and
He's
he's
getting
done,
drug. I feel bad for
yeah,
bro.
yeah, so, like, you have those type of situations where and this has even happened to me recently, brands will reach out to my athlete, and I always tell them, I'm like, "You guys focus on what you are doing on the
Right.
field. That is your first main, I guess, just job as an athlete, like, you want to perform at the highest level. Me as an agent, I'm here to alleviate any stress that's off of that for you, and so, like, we've got brands, they'll reach out to our athletes, and then my athlete will say, "Hey, reach out to Nick. This is his email." They'll never reach out to me. They'll never text me, and then they'll keep trying to talk to the athlete.
Yeah.
And that's something to me that it, I know NIL is obviously a great thing. It's a great opportunity for these athletes to make money, but I don't think people see sometimes the exploitation on the brand side as well. Sometimes when I'm redlining contracts and things of that nature, it's also tough where you'll have terms in there and you'll try to redline it, and the brand, it's like you want a net 30 payment, for example,
Right.
and the brands are saying nope, we can't pay you for 90 days after the content goes live,
Which
and
is
then
not
having to
which
chase.
this whole conversation for you guys that are new to
Yeah,
this, these are normal conversations Nick is talking about and having
every
someone.
day.
Yeah, every day. Go ahead, sorry.
No, but I was just saying, the question you asked was what really drives me, and it is just allowing the athletes to have peace of mind when they go to sleep at night. Like if they're doing whatever deal it may be, if maybe they're not even really focused on that stuff, but when I'm here to be able to help them out, and really just alleviate any of that stress to where they're not having to send an invoice, they're not having to remember which date they have to post, when to shoot the content
Yeah,
by, reviewing a contract, all this stuff is stuff that I can come in and really help that
yeah.
athlete with. And so I really just pride myself. I'm a person who likes to help other people just in the general gist of things, not just
Mhm.
within NIL. And for me, it really is important to just take care of the athletes. And like I mentioned, you really just have to keep proving yourself right. And that entrepreneurial mindset from myself. I know who I am. I'm strong in those beliefs, and I'd be damned if I allowed another person to try to get in my headspace about
Yeah.
who I am.
Uh
So no, just always proving yourself right.
Totally get that, and want to talk a little bit about this, right? Because one of the things is we kind of talk a little bit more about AI, talk about the change that's really happening, and I believe there's this crisis that we were talking about earlier. That what's happening is some people think it's just being good enough on the field. They think it's just their follower account, and let's break this down because I think what's happening is that, and I think it's already happening. Schools are hiring companies like Out to Win and other places like that to do an analysis, but we're going to ease in. Let's walk this thing together. Let's break it down. People hear NIL and they think it's about followers. In your opinion, why is that dead wrong in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, just from a brand perspective, like if you're going to be paying an athlete, you want ROI on whatever that is. That's the entire point of having a specific athlete do a campaign for you, make one of these videos promoting your brand. And followers are a great place to start in sense of, or I shouldn't say great, they're a good place to start.
Yeah.
If you're looking at a specific athlete, you're a brand, you're like, oh, and I have this happen almost every single week where I have a brand reach out and they're like, "Oh, I want to work with this athlete because they have," and I know in their mind they're like, "This athlete has so many
Yeah.
followers
Yeah.
that they'll get seen." They want brand visibility, and now that's right sometimes, but if
Yeah.
I have a female athlete who maybe she doesn't like to go to the gym, then why is a fitness company wanting to work with her? It just isn't a fit. And so the biggest thing for me, if you're a brand, you're going to want ROI on whatever campaign it is. If
Yeah.
I have Kennedy Webb and you're a dance company, there maybe you make leotards or whatever it may be. That's the girl that you should be targeting. It shouldn't be, obviously this might be a bad example because there's not much parity with the leotard stuff, but I just think, in my opinion, if you're not getting an ROI on your campaign, if people aren't going to your site, if they're not ordering from you,
Right.
then that's a bad investment into an athlete. And I think you see follower count. There's definitely some campaigns where
Mhm.
you want to get brand visibility, and that can be great. But there's some people who they might get a 1% engagement rate on their normal posts. What do you think they're
Right.
going to get on their sponsored content?
Yeah,
And that's
and
something that my athletes.
I want to jump in real quick here, sorry to interrupt. ROI, just want a return on investment, and the reason why I wanna stop here before you get into this other stuff, and I want you to keep going after this, is I think this is so huge, a point that you brought up, Nick, because one of the things that many content creators or student athletes are missing out on is if someone pays you money, they're gonna want a return, meaning they're gonna wanna click through, they're gonna wanna see increased sales, they're gonna wanna drive traffic to whatever platform they're running, and so what you're alluding to is that if you have to have an engaged community so that when you post the content, it delivers back to the brand something that drives value to the organization. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Because I think that's missed upon. People just think it's about me, me, me. I just get to post something and get paid for it. And that's not
Yeah,
it.
no,
That's
it's
not the truth. That's just the beginning.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a two-way street. I think you can tell, especially with, I mean, the NIL is just on an absolute rise. Like, there's
Mhm.
so many athletes that are taking advantage of it. I love it. you can tell an inorganic sponsored content post or a
Yeah.
not good fit, someone that they really are just doing it for the money all the time. The coolest the recent one I'm thinking of is the rollback. They just did something with a ton of football athletes, and you can tell they're doing like acting classes. It's a
Yeah.
super cool type of campaign.
Yeah. A good
Those are the types.
execution.
Exactly. Those are the types of campaigns that do drive ROI for a
Yeah.
company. So, like I mentioned Kennedy earlier, we have a few other athletes like this to where, or I mean, all of our athletes are great content creators. But when you have an athlete that truly does have a community they trust, or their followers trust the athlete and what they're going to promote, what they're going to post, that's when ROI does come from a campaign because
Right.
their community trusts them. Maybe someone has a lot of followers, but they don't post that frequently.
Right.
And then they come out of left field and they've got, oh, here's a whatever
Yeah.
XYZ brand campaign.
And,
Please
and
buy
on
it.
top of
No
that,
one's going to buy it.
maybe they didn't even respond to the 20 people who commented on that post. Go ahead, sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I think really the general gist of it is you can look at a follower count. The engagement rate is definitely by far the best metric to check.
Yeah.
I mean, shameless plug here, but if you look at the sponsored content engagement rates for our athletes, a lot of them are like 10%, and
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah.
We had an
That's up
athlete
there.
that had an 153% engagement rate on one of her sponsored content posts. And that's just something that it just shows if you do NIL the right way and you're
Yeah.
creating good content, authentic content, it's going to do a great job for your own brand as well as the brand that is paying you or
Mhm.
gifting you in some sense to promote whatever product it is that they have. And so
Yeah.
it's definitely a two-way street, like you alluded to.
Well, and I want to talk about this too, because this is one of the big changes. I think this is very helpful, especially for high school athletes, because what happens is people spend all their time doing drills and going to camps and develop relationships. That's all important. However, what we're hearing and what we're seeing now, and I knew this was going to happen, is that now, specifically in the Olympic sports, right, when you get outside of basketball and football, because those really are paid for play oftentimes, and they're definitely driven by how good you are, but that's a small portion of all athletes, right? There's 500 people in the average athletic department. That's a small. So for everybody else, and even some of those people, one of the things we're seeing now is that as we're getting the deals that people are getting, right? They're doing brand scoring, and I wanted you to talk about that because I've gotten some calls from people, even though I've been creating the content, we've been educating and entertaining people on this topic, and they're like, "Well, we got this number, but there's a kid coming in next year. I'm a sophomore and they're getting double what I'm getting. They're not as good. But then when I go look him up, the kid has 40,000 followers. But most importantly, they're consistent and they have a whole community going. And now people are like, why aren't I getting that? So I want you to explain the brand scoring in your own words because I know it's something that you have a lot of expertise on.
For sure. I mean, I just think like any brand, if you're looking, you're choosing between two athletes, they look at a few things, definitely. This is the
Mhm.
feedback that I get from people at these brands, from
Yeah.
other people that I've talked to, whether it's agents, other people just in the industry. But brands really are looking, one, they want to see your engagement rate. They want to see if your audience is engaged. They want to see your community, things like that. Another big thing, and I would say is the most important thing, really is: are you posting consistently?
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
are these
Talk
brands
about
able
that.
to see?
Talk about that, because the biggest thing,
Yeah,
Nick, I'm running into right now, and I'm be quiet after I ask you, I promise I'll be quiet, is people are scared to comment and they're scared to create content. And what happens is they're looking for perfection. Every piece is got they're going for the viral, right? Because they'll be like, well, huh, I have this one for 40,000. I'm like, yeah, but if you do X amount, you could have 40,000 a month. But talk to me about that because I think it's so lost right now.
yeah, for sure. And I think I like using like other analogies or bringing things into like just anything I have to say. But the biggest thing for me, I follow someone. They've popped off on TikTok. I said how I'm into health and wellness a lot,
Yeah,
and higher up wellness. He's on TikTok. He's on Instagram. Absolute great nuggets, mental game nuggets.
yeah,
But for him, he made a video not too long ago saying, I made content for 2 years to build this following. You're not going to start off. He wasn't
Yeah.
making or talking as confidently to the camera. His content wasn't as good. But the thing that separates people like higher up wellness from people who don't even start is the fact that he started.
Yeah.
And he wasn't afraid of what Sally from high school or Jim from high school or even your
Yeah.
friends, your family, like sometimes it is those people who are questioning like what you're posting on social media. But at the end of the day, it's really up to you. If you like creating content, create content. But I think the biggest thing is a lot of people truly are scared
Yeah.
to make content. And I definitely see it. I mean, even from my perspective, like if you would have told me 2 years ago, "Oh, like, go post a video of you on your Instagram," no way, no shot that I'm posting a video on there.
uh,
And I used to be, I mean, afraid to talk to the camera, things like that.
yeah.
And so this is all stuff that it definitely comes. I think with me, it came with time, with age, and kind of seeing it. Other people have success stories with it.
Yeah.
But like I said, these brands, they do really want to see your personality because at the
Right.
end of the day, it's going to determine if you're a brand fit. And so, like I mentioned earlier, you do have to be a good brand fit to,
Yeah.
if for your audience, the people who are following you, they're going to want, or if they're going to buy that product, if there's going to be a good return on investment for that brand to invest their brand money or their marketing money into you, they're going to want a return probably 2 times. They're not going to just want to crack and get their money back. They're definitely going to want to have good results from that campaign. And so it really all just boils down to not being afraid
Yeah.
to post that content. It's not going to be the best at the beginning, but you're going to continue getting better at it. It's just that way with everything in life. And so really just being confident and not caring what anyone else
Well, I
thinks
just want to jump
about
in
the
here
type of
too,
content.
because I think you're so right. And I think the other thing, Nick, is that people don't know what's going to go off. You really don't. You think you do. The video you spend all this energy on, guys, and you go and you do the thumbnail and you edit it perfectly and it gets okay. Right. And then, like, just being transparent, like I messed up the intro here. I'm going to share that. So sometimes those pop off. Like I had one from Cardell. I just posted yesterday, and I literally everything is content, you guys. Everything is content. I posted just the intro for Cardell Thomas, just me doing his intro, and it went extremely well. I literally got 3 followers within 20 minutes of posting that video on TikTok. Right. So everything's content. And would you agree with that, Nick? Because I feel like what happens is people are looking at these folks who may even have brand managers behind them who are super sophisticated. I know some of these people that work for some of the larger athletes and brands in our space. And you're trying to compete with them, but it's not really a fair comparison because you're looking at them after they've already made it.
100%. And I think the biggest thing for me is if you're not authentic, like people sniff that out. And you talked about you never know when a video is going to boom. The videos that do boom,
Yeah.
like I mean, I'm a victim. I'm young. I'm still scrolling on TikTok. I'll be laughing for like 10 minutes at certain videos. But it's stuff that I really do relate to. On my Instagram, on my TikTok, it's a
Yeah.
lot of that motivational style
Yeah.
stuff that keep going, keep every day, no matter how it is, like be disciplined, that
Yeah.
type of content. And if you feel that way, if that's authentic to you, post that type of content. If it's
Yeah.
not authentic to you, I mean, don't post it because you saying something, you're gonna wear yourself out. I think it goes like this in life too. But if you're putting on an act, people are gonna be able to sniff it out. It gets
Yeah.
tiresome. If I mean, if you're making a certain style of video and maybe it does do well, but it's not authentic, then that act always runs up. And so the true way to build your brand is really just whatever's authentic to you, posting that content
Yep.
and riding that wave. I think something that some of my athletes, I feel like, and all athletes have to understand too, is you might lose followers at the beginning. What I like to call it is trimming the fat of
Mhm.
the fake friends, the fake followers, the people that do unfollow you when you do start posting this type of content. And you can't get discouraged. You really just have to keep going, and that audience will come back and it'll multiply and continue to multiply if you do stay true to your authentic self.
Yep, I think you're spot on. Dovetailing off of that, being authentic, what do you think something that brands care about now that athletes just don't even realize?
Yeah, I think a common complaint, honestly, is the content quality of something that's coming out
Mm.
recently. There's a
Speak
lot of
on that,
brands.
like, break that down.
Yes, for sure. So I think like one of the things that I've really preached to my athletes of recently is a lot of videos that I see doing well, whether it's Instagram Reels, TikToks, just posts in general. They want to have good lighting. So that's one of the first things that's going to make content perform better is having good lighting.
Yep.
The hook of a video is super important.
Explain the
So
hook too, because some people don't know, right? There's video, there's textual, there's different kinds of hooks, but explain what a hook and why you feel like brands are saying it's so important.
yeah, for sure. I mean, like I mentioned, like brands, they're complaining about video quality, but then they also want the analytics of how, or a lot of brands are going to want the analytics of how video performs. When I check out analytics, something that really started to pay attention to was the watch time. Now,
Mhm.
you're going to want that watch time to be as long as possible.
Yep.
From what I see, there's a lot, or the content that doesn't perform as well, the watch time is lower and the quality of that video is lower. And so, for my side of things, if you're not if you're really not engaging with a hook, so that's within the first like 3 seconds of that video, 2 seconds, you want to grab the audience's
Mhm.
attention, and you want them to watch that entire video or as long as possible. It'd be like for me, if we're starting this video, Jay's putting this video out on this podcast, you're going to want to hook the audience right at the beginning of his hook. So it might be I don't know, something crazy like is NIL like is NIL changed forever? Or like you want to grab them. It might be a little clickbait, but at the end of the day, you do want that audience to stick around. And so just sticking that hook out there, one of the
Yep.
first things that comes out of your mouth, it's so important. In a lot of brands, they'll even include a lot of people in their briefs, like
Yep.
potential hooks to use, which is really beneficial. But again, it has to be authentic in a
Mhm.
sense, or else, like again, your audience will sniff it out, and then it doesn't seem as true to them. So
Yeah, I think that's a great example. And other thing too, you mentioned a brief, create a brief, guys. That's where they'll send over a document that outlines everything. What's the objective, the overview, who's the audience, and what is it that we're trying to do, and everything they want you to include in there. So I think it's great. That's one of the big benefits of having an agent. A lot of time athletes are moving at 100 miles an hour, right? Between nutrition, sleep, class, practice, and
yeah,
everything. So that's super important. And I love that you're talking about hooks because I think hooks are so important, right? They're like the first moment, the first thing, like you just said, that grabs and pulls people in. And think about it, right? Most of you guys are watching these videos on TikTok. What is the thing that's driving drawing you in? So as I always tell athletes as well and content creators, like look at the ones that you like, the videos, and backwards engineer what they're doing that's performing well, right? Like just don't scroll, y'all. You got to catch a scroll to 2 a.m. You're getting you know what I mean, Nick? And,
yeah.
and dissect this, guys, and understand that you have to have a visual hook. You need to have an audio hook. You have to have an overall hook to the content to pull people in.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's so important and slept on. I think you see especially in a lot of sponsored content. So
Yeah,
this is when athletes are promoting a brand product, whatever it may be. The hooks are, in my opinion, they could be a lot better. But whether it's just the athlete or if the brand, I will say sometimes something that I'm not a fan of is if that brand is giving too strict of a brief
sure.
for the athlete. I really think that athletes should be allowed to be more creative with it and be authentic. Obviously, there's some middle ground there, but you don't want it to be robotic. And
Right.
so, what you'll see in a lot of these just promotional videos, sponsored content, you'll see athletes really just going through the motions.
Yep.
And that's something that I try to make sure that our athletes understand like, hey, if you want to work with this brand
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to want to do that. Now, if you're like,
For
hey,
sure.
we're doing a one-off deal, whatever it is, then so be it. But if you do want to create great content, the main objective, you've got to have a good hook. You've got
Yeah.
to want that audience to be sticking around and watching. And the lighting, like I mentioned, really is everything. So really just I'd say those two things are really the biggest thing that can separate great content from good or bad content, and really just being authentic in the process of it all.
Yeah, and I didn't expect you to bring up a hook, but I wanna just dial down one more because this is so huge. Like you're
Yeah,
really getting to the tactics. And I love people hearing this from you as an agent who's working with brands, who's working with athletes. So guys, your hook is your curiosity, it's your relevance, it's your emotion, and it's the fear of missing out. Like you have to create an emotional hook, right? Like if you're starting off with hi or welcome to my channel, you're already losing. Something bold like $100,000 in NIL money disappears in a year if you don't know this one thing. That's a hook. That's a
100%.
hook.
And I think, I mean, and we have like one of my athletes, Yazzie, for example, she does something in all of her TikTok videos that, in my opinion, it's what really does build her brand or
Yeah,
has led to, she's got close to 200,000 followers on there. And she just starts off, she's a high energy, high octane
yeah,
girl. She's not stealing someone else's hook.
yeah,
Not, again, the welcome to my channel, anything like that. It's like close up to the
yeah,
camera, like this close,
yeah.
and you're going, and she's just showing her personality and letting it rain. And that's the stuff that performs the best, and you'll see
Yep,
it again. And I think the main thing that people are scared of is that being judged for your content.
yep.
But if again, if you're worried about what that person has to say, this person has to say, um, then you've already lost. So you really just have to getting over the fear of posting. In my opinion, is the most important part of all of this.
Well, and I think we're gonna get into AI in a second. And the other thing I'm literally gonna do this while we're talking. One of the things that you can do, I'm literally gonna do this in real time. You can also put it in audio mode. I'm in ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I'm talking to Nick. I need 5 examples of powerful hooks for videos. I'm a beginning content creator who needs powerful hooks to get people to watch the video for the entire time. Can you give me 5 really powerful ones? I can read them really quickly on this podcast, right? So it's thinking, and you guys can use AI. So it's thinking right now. It says, hey, we got 5. They're punchy. Number one, this one, here's a hook. If you're not creating, you're invisible. That's what it came up with. And you could keep playing with it. Um, the other one they have is most people quit before the magic happens. So here's the thing. You can use AI, you can use ChatGPT. There's so many other platforms besides ChatGPT, right, Nick, to help student athletes who might think, man, how do I create a hook? You can use AI and keep refining it. Keep saying, I like that was a decent start, but let's keep going. That those probably weren't finishing as we talk about AI. So I'm a big fan of that. I don't know if you are, Nick, of using AI to help people create content as well.
Yeah, I really think it just boils down to making sure that it still is authentic when you are using AI. Obviously, it has a very large scale approach instead of having an individualized or personalized
Yep.
approach. But I think using it the right way, and
Yep.
like you said, that's a good start right there.
Yeah.
Now let's
Yeah.
make it more catered to your
Yeah.
lingo,
Yeah.
what's again authentic to you. And I'll say I know you're probably getting tired of me saying the word authentic, but that is the true differentiator in NIL. You can see and sniff out when people aren't authentic, and it goes so quick. You'll see athletes, like I mentioned, like there just seems like a lot of forced pieces of content, and I do wish some brands did like put more thought, I guess I would just say, into the athletes that they we're working with because hey, if you want to work with the Elevate Sports athletes, they obviously make very individualized, personalized
Right.
content that's going to be authentic for the audiences. But no, actually, I think it's just important again to be authentic in anything
Yep.
you do in life, but specifically in the NIL space, the
Yep.
content creation.
And to your point, what just before we move on, because I want to talk about Out to Win and just some of the things that are happening there, because I know you partner with them. But you guys, like you said, you can create a voice. You can tell it who you are, how you speak, and use it. So thinking about AI is just being like a robot, an extension of yourself, so that you're not becoming the AI. The AI is learning you, and it's adaptive. I've been using it for a couple years now, and it's just crazy its ability, like we're on ChatGPT 5 now, its ability to really match your voice. So guys, I would highly recommend that because many student athletes and I create content. Nick is really super busy. Just think of it as like a robot to help you be more productive and not creating something other than what you are. So I want to talk about this. You partnered with Out to Win. We've had Jack Adler on the show. He's just an OG in this business, man. I love him. I love his story from, you know, doing 8 pitches, getting turned down 7 times at Syracuse. The eighth one was their first seed money. And I want to talk about him. And he's another young guy. I love the, you know what? I love, you guys tell this. I love the
Yeah, it's a
people.
young man's game, young woman's game here.
You know what I mean? And even if you're 50, if you're 60, as long as you keep staying on your grind, as long as you keep staying hungry, you can keep doing it. But walk us through how tools like Out to Win and AI are really changing out. And the reason why some of you guys may say, why am I talking about this, Jay? And I'm going to answer my own question. That's great. Because if you go on TikTok, you guys will notice you're not even seeing your friends on TikTok or your followers. You're seeing it based on your interest. Like you, for example, love motivation, Nick. I love motivation business. Those are the things that show up. So if you guys are not creating content based on how the algorithm is serving up content, you're losing.
100%. I think like where you just mentioned for me, like it is like that motivation type of stuff. If you're an athlete and you're like stuck about creating content, really just think and don't go too into depth. Like, what do you do throughout the day? If you're an athlete, if you play, I represent Skylar George, plays volleyball at Syracuse.
Yeah.
She makes if you think about anything someone could do throughout their day, she's just creating that type of content. She's creating, whether it's like if you play volleyball, create volleyball content if you're stuck. If you really like the motivational type stuff, then start talking to the camera and try to give some motivation. Again, it really just boils down to that authenticity, but how the algorithm does work. And you'll see it, like we mentioned, mine, the motivation stuff. Jay's got that motivation, the business. Just being aware of how you can use that to your advantage is all stuff that is definitely smart. If you go to a Division 1, a Division 2, Division 3 university right now, if you post stuff in your uniform and your logos and your social media, you're going to get bumped onto the algorithm. It's how
Yeah.
it works. You see it. I just posted something on our Instagram the other day, but just between two of our athletes, they got the most likes out of any of their pictures ever on their media day pictures
Wow.
because you see that logo right in the front. Right here,
Yeah.
I've got the
Yeah.
Elevate Sports,
Yeah.
but on theirs, for instance, they've got their schools on there. And both volleyball players absolutely killed it, grew their followings overnight. And in turn, you're creating a more engaged community. Obviously, that's a very engaged post there, but that drives your NIL value up. That can
Yep.
drive your asking price up for these brands. Different types of brands are going to want to work with you as well. And so, really just thinking about how you'd be able to leverage that into your favor.
Yep.
Out to Win obviously ran on the AI. They help in so many different ways, but like platforms like that, when you can see the scores for these athletes and things like that, it helps me with recruitment. It shows me types of athletes that might be a great fit for our organization, things like that. But yeah, all of it, it's really, I think today's day and age, it's just about using everything to your favor.
Yep.
There's a lot of people who they might hate AI. They're scared AI is going to take over. Instead of worrying about it,
Yeah.
just get hip with the times
Yeah.
and start using it to your advantage, or else you're going to get taken over because that's just how it is. It's a dog eats dog world. And so just hopping in with whatever that, if you think it's a trend, you think it's whatever,
Yeah.
like specifically with AI, I'd say just start learning how to use it to your advantage.
Yeah, I love it. You stay curious, right? Like stay evolving. And I know for myself, I started out, you know, when I first got out of school as a print journalist and then blogging and the social media, just kept growing and growing and growing because the thing that ties us all together is storytelling, right?
Mhm.
Like even depending on what your faith is, there's a Bible or some document that generally is going to go back thousands of years, regardless of what your faith is, right? And so think about what draws all of those through. It's storytelling, right? So that stays. So don't worry. I've never, Nick, worried about the tool, right? Like there was Blogger and WordPress, which are still around. And now remember there was there's different tools that have come and gone. But one of the things I hope everyone does is what I do. I just stay curious and just figure it out. And like you said, learn how to use it to your advantage. So one of the things I want to talk to you about are parents, because we know oftentimes parents and they really are needed if people have them, if they have parents that can be available to them, because we know the athlete's time is so under demand. But a lot of the parents, quite frankly, are stuck in 2018. They're stuck on food pictures. They're stuck you know, on things that used to work. And remember, we just talked about the TikTok is, which changed everybody else's algorithm, is an infographic. It's not based on you posting pictures from your trip or pictures from breakfast. It's on your interest, which means you also have to have content pillars, and meaning like what are the things you're going to talk about. What are some of the things that you see that parents are lost about? And what's one thing that every parent can do to help their kid who's chasing NIL?
I mean, in terms of like something that parents are lost about, honestly, I haven't done a ton of work on that parent side. I think like right now I do represent a high school athlete. And I think the biggest thing that I'd say they're lost about just is what is NIL in a general sense. Like everyone's hearing, oh, like this football player is making this much, or this basketball player, whatever it is.
Right.
If your child plays a non-revenue generating sport, if they're playing like soccer, for instance, you're obviously not going to have the same opportunity for NIL that a football athlete may have. And so, really differentiating, like we talked about earlier, the pay for play aspect away from what NIL truly is something that I think every parent would greatly be enhanced by knowing, if I would boil it down to that.
Yeah.
So, if you're a parent, really just knowing that if your child is playing soccer, if they're going to play baseball, and it's more so if they are wanting to take advantage of these opportunities, to take advantage of their name, their image, their likeness,
Yeah.
really just helping them set the stage and being, I guess you would really just want to boil it down to knowing how to create, whether it's content, if you want to create a personal brand, things of that nature,
Yeah.
and just trying to really be there for them. I think that's the biggest part. I think the biggest just thing in all of this is having people that do support your journey. The
Yeah.
toughest part is when you're a younger kid, if you're trying to say you're a junior in high school and you want to build your own personal brand, it definitely is tough because you're going to have people judging you. But that's the cost of doing anything great. It's
Yeah.
going to be criticism and judgment. And so, if you're trying to grow your brand, if you're a parent, really just help your kids out as much as possible in terms of just gathering as much information,
Yeah.
whether it's from agents like myself, if you're just doing research. But when you do want to build that personal brand, that's the thing that really does help in the NIL sense for these non-revenue generating sports. If your child plays
Yeah.
football or basketball, you might just want your child to be really good at their sport and do the personal branding on the side, or you can really prioritize personal branding as well. It
Yep.
depends. Some people do it differently. You see Ryan Williams, who kind of does it in a sense of where and Ryan Williams plays football at Alabama for everyone that doesn't
Absolutely.
know. But he's creating dance content. He does all this different stuff playing football. And then you get athletes who, like I went to school with Brandon Dwyer. He has one of the biggest personal brands of any collegiate
Absolutely.
athlete. And he plays basketball, but his whole identity is not actually playing the sport. He hasn't scored a point in his entire college career, and he plays into that. And so it's just really knowing ways that you can almost make fun of yourself in a sense,
Yeah.
things that would resonate with an audience that can still be authentic if you want to go it that way or about it that way. And I think just having like the mindset of you really don't care what X, Y, whoever it is
Yeah.
thinks about what you're doing. That's the best way to really go about it.
All right, so I do coffee with Brand&Athlete. We work with a lot of athletes. Some of them in high school. And we've had
Yeah.
some really, I mean, we've had Nash Henry on. He's a sophomore. Norman North. Shout out to my guy. He's already got 2 deals, and just really documenting his story. He's going around. He's worked with some of the top quarterback coaches, and his dad helps him out, like taking photos and videos during the game. So my perspective of working with athletes, tell me your perspective as an athlete. I mean, as a agent, excuse me. Here's some of the things I think parents can do, and I would love your feedback, commentary, or it could be a yes and adding on is I think helping their child to be gritty and fearless and not really caring what people think, because what I think sometimes is some parents, because they think of Facebook of 2018, which is a performative platform, right? It's like, hey, look at my kid, they have a 3.0. Look at my kid, they got into Michigan, right? Which is performative, meaning that we're posting to to say that we did something. And I think the best thing you can tell athletes is to be yourself and just document what you're doing. And what parents can do is be the content creator. If you're at practice and you're sitting around, you could get out the group chat with the girls from the wine club, and nothing wrong with the wine club, by the way. And you could get out the other ones and actually take some photos and just document practice and document in video, and then give that to the athlete and help them just tell their story rather than performing, because I think that's where the anxiety comes from. The anxiety comes from I'm supposed to be hitting a measure rather than I'm just on this journey.
And I honestly, I think the first thing that comes to mind for that is like a lot of whether it's athletes or just people, and I think you see it more with the older generation. I see it on Facebook, whether it's like, oh, auntie's gonna post about what this kid did at their game, whatever it may be. But from my
Yeah.
side of things, that is like a performative based
Yeah.
approach of
Yeah.
posting. You shouldn't be posting just your accomplishments. Just
Yeah.
post, in my opinion, post your life.
Yeah.
That's how you build an authentic audience. So for me, like something that I try to do is on my personal Instagram, whether I'm posting on my Instagram story or my posts, like I'm just posting my life. I'm not really here
Yeah.
to post accomplishments, anything like that. I think that's when you do get stuck in that performative based web,
Yeah.
because what if things aren't going great for you, whether it's on the
Right.
field, on the court? You're not going to have anything to post. But
Right.
if you're real with your audience and you can just post really anything about your daily life, like that's when you can really continue to build your personal brand. And so I will say, I think a lot of parents, it's definitely tough, like from a content creation side of actually creating the content, just be there to document what your child's doing. If it's
Right.
video, if it's
Yep.
pictures, you don't have to know how to like edit videos or to do anything like that.
Well,
But really just being there.
I'm a jump in real quick. Some of these parents have 20,000 photos, so they know how to take
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah, no, they have the photos necessary.
Yeah.
And yeah, I totally love that point. I think what I liked that you mentioned even more, it was the point about parents really just being there for their kids. I
Yeah.
think we've talked about or so much about like, oh, don't be scared to post, don't be scared what your friends think of you, any of
Yeah.
this stuff. And the most or like the biggest thing that I would say is like if you are a parent, just whatever your child wants to do and just go 100% all in for whatever it is that they like and really support them. I think you see, or I mean, I now have seen it, but while I'm more grown up. But when I'm going through high school, like whether it's kids' parents just being so hard on them, like played at a very high level of baseball. One of my best friends is in the Astros minor league system, and it's like you're always on under constant pressure to perform on the field. If you are so hard on your child, like
Yeah.
when they're that young, they're just gonna not like the sport anymore. You're really gonna kill it out of them. So just being there for them, that's really like the biggest thing that I would have to say is like super important as that parent. And like you said, if it's taking pictures, if it's
Yeah.
taking videos,
Well, they're there. I
whatever
mean,
it
a
may
lot of these
be.
parents are at the game. They can see the kids walking through and doing the intros, like if you're at a football game. There's a lot of things because we were talking earlier, it's all content. So I
Yeah.
think you're 100% right. And I think even one of the things, and I'm telling you because I speak a lot with one-on-one with athletes with their parents aren't around, is like I think just not setting expectations for performance. I think what it happens is most young people want to please a parent, right? We're just talking across the board, there's millions of kids. Most want to perform. So when you put it out there like that, it makes it where people are now striving for something, and then we just have to make sure that just being okay on the journey, because like you said, it's not always going to go perfect, but if you make perfection the thing, then you can't share. Like, I'll give you one, just even on my personal Facebook account. Like, I did a recap of the summer, and it was just photos, and I'm just going to talk while we're here, because I like to just keep it real, right? Like, so we're not so like theoretical people. But we went fly fishing, we went camping. A friend had their 50th party and had this blowout with the band, and we had just so many. We went bowling, right? None of this stuff is like we spent $1 million. It wasn't a bragging. And like, if you guys want to tell your story, you have to tell your story. I'll just read the one sentence, which is, the thing about the summers is you never know when you're in the best one until it's already gone. Right. So the whole thematic wasn't about bragging. It was about the process, the journey, those moments we cooked over an open fire that didn't need a filter. You know what I mean? And that's what it was about. We went boating on a friend's boat a bunch of times. And so some of you guys, you like to use the word authentic, and I like it, which I love, and I just love document, guys. Some of you guys just need to talk about what you're doing, but don't worry about what everybody else is doing, because I think you brought up a point earlier in this conversation, Nick, that so many people are worried about like classmates and what all these other people are thinking. And I think that what you were talking about there is what's really crushing a lot of people. And the net result is they're not posting enough. They're not getting enough reps. So then when the AI comes through and they're calling Nick, they're like, look, I like the kid, but they've only posted twice in 30 days.
No, and I think like, and I'll kind of just give like or my whole perspective on this entire thing. I like personally for me, something that I've tried to get really better at. I'm all about growth as like a person. I want to be the
Yeah.
best possible person, mentally, spiritually, physically. And I think from my just perspective, what I've seen is when you chase results, you're always just going to be left empty-handed. Even if you're chasing goals in a sense of
Mm,
like trying to just accomplish that goal. No goal will ever make you happy. I trust me. I've heard it from a million people. I've seen it myself. Like I set personal goals for a year of Elevate. I hit those, and when I hit them, it's like, okay, well, what's next? And like you mentioned, it really is just so important to fall in love with that journey. Really, just going all in. And not trying to compare yourself. That's another thing I see certain athletes do. It's like, oh, well, this athlete's doing this or that athlete's doing that. And you're so worried about what these other people are thinking or doing that you're not improving yourself. And I really think it's like, it's a game of where you just never know unless you stay committed to the process how far you really can go. So if
yeah.
you're an athlete, you're not seeing the results on the field. What are you going to do? You're gonna go in the if in base I'm a baseball guy, so you're gonna go in the cage. You're gonna take
Yep.
more front toss,
Yep.
more people. You're gonna take more batting practice,
Yep.
and you're just gonna continue to try to become a better player. And no matter what you see, like if you're not doing as well, you're not gonna stop hitting
Yeah.
more. You're gonna keep doing the same process. And I think just the way I go about life now, I heard something a few weeks ago, and it's called the SIP routine or the SIP mindset. And
Okay.
SIP means stay in process. And that means
Mm,
throughout your entire life, like
yeah.
whatever you're doing, just really stay in your process, stay in
Yeah.
your routine of things. And for me, I've started to see, I love saying compounding interest. It's such a funny thing for me to say. Like I went for a run yesterday, threw it up on my Instagram story, compounding interest. But it's those type of things
I
to
love
me
that.
that really do set yourself apart. I've been doing this for a year now and have tried to stay in the same routine. Obviously, sometimes you get a little down. And this is really just like, I guess, my motivation to athletes. It's like if you do want to build your personal brand, if you do want to get better at your sport and you're not seeing the results you want, just have a process in place that fulfills you, that fills your own bucket,
Yep.
and really just grow from there and stay consistent, whatever it is. You'd be surprised how much your life can change in 3 months and
Yeah.
6 months and a year. You can have exponential growth as a person, but you really do just have to prioritize a process over any results that are going to directly come straight to you. It's a stay in process. That's just like again my favorite way to go about life. And shout out to Sip Drake on Instagram because he's the guy who showed me
Shout out
all this
to
stuff. But always got to plug my
yeah.
mental game nugget people. So
Just say that again. Say the stay. What is it?
Yeah, so it's stay in process. It's called
Stay
like the
in
SIP,
process.
yeah, the
I love that.
SIP routine or the SIP mindset, I guess you would really just call it. But yeah, it's all about just not being like a results driven
Yeah.
type of person. Like if you're looking for X, Y, and Z, obviously you're always going to want more. But if you are just staying in process,
Yeah.
following that routine, something that fills, like I said, your bucket, allows you to be happy while
Yeah.
you are chasing something, because you don't want to follow a routine that makes you miserable. But definitely staying disciplined. That's what ultimately will lead to those compounding results.
Yep.
It's consistency looks like nothing is happening until everything changes. And that's
Mm,
like just the biggest thing for me. You really just have to stay consistent, stay the course, and over time, things will come to light. The truth always comes to light. So
yeah. Keep sipping. Stay in
keep sipping,
process,
stay
right?
in
Which is
process, baby.
don't get too high when things are going great. Don't get too low when things are going low. And you being a baseball guy, I grew up in St. Louis, a Cardinals fan, right? I mean, you hit 300, 3 out of 10, you go in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Right, to your point, right? Like you're not. I love what you're saying because I think behind that is don't play for the scoreboard. Right, there's
Yeah.
one way to play, and so I think what you're talking about is so valuable, and I think that's probably why you've seen, your mental framework, which is why you're seeing a lot of the growth that you're seeing. Switch up gears a little bit. I wanna do big hot takes as before we get out of here, and so these are hot takes, right? It's kinda like if you ever seen that hot chip show where they eat the chip.
Yeah.
All right,
I
you
love
get
that. Hot
yeah,
ones.
well, Hot Ones, that's it, I love it, shout out to Hot
Yeah.
Ones. That's one of my favorites, man. I love when Kevin Hart was on there, and I think Theo Von was on there.
Yeah.
All right, here's my first one for you. Agree or disagree? Followers don't matter anymore. Your hot take.
Um, yeah, I would say I think I definitely agree with you in the sense that they're not the most important. I would maybe phrase that a little bit differently. Obviously, there's some brands. I tell like certain athlete or all of my athletes this, but it's like there's certain brands that aren't probably going to want to work with you
Yeah,
just because you don't have that amount of followers, and that's not in the like it's not on the athlete at all, but definitely like followers in a sense. It's like some brands like, oh, I do want that brand visibility, whatever it is.
yeah,
But I will say I do agree with that statement that they really don't. They're not the most. Yeah, they're not the most important
sorry.
thing out there anymore, especially for brands that are doing it the right way in terms of athlete marketing, content creator marketing, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, I love that. I love the answer. And these are just your takes. There's no right or wrong
Yeah.
answers. The next one, in 5 years, will 90% of NIL athletes still be broke? Yes or no? And your answer as
Um,
to why.
90%. No, I think over time, there's, at least in my opinion, if you're doing it the right way, if you're surrounded, especially a lot of these athletes, I feel like they're at bigger agencies who have been in it for a while. For the most part, the people who are making that like life-changing type of money. I will say, I am concerned that schools don't have the necessary parts in place for athletes. So maybe my answer changes here rather quickly. But if you look, an example, I feel like you always have to kind of be a chameleon when you're talking to people outside of the industry about NIL, just to make sure that, again, they're not getting confused true
Mhm.
NIL and then the pay for play
Yep.
aspect. But if you're a football player at any SEC school. Say that you're coming in as a freshman, you're getting paid six figures a year. You're 18 years old and you're coming into all this money. I haven't had the direct experience. I hope these schools or at least setting these kids up, whether it's with financial advisors, anyone who is there to really help them out to be able to manage that money. I know if I was 18 and I got handed a boatload of money, I would probably not be the best person. And
You know
so
what I'm saying?
I definitely see how this could be a debatable hot take. I think personally that kids, especially kids that are growing up, they're becoming smarter in the sense of like how to use that money. Now,
Yeah.
granted, if they're not being put in the best positions, especially like I'm mentioning, I always say football, because there's so many players on the team that are getting paid now. But it goes for basketball too. It can go for, you hear like certain content creators who, now this isn't athlete marketing, but there's like, they had like the Sway House or the Hype
Yeah.
House, all these
Yeah.
influencer houses. And these kids are, they now have blown all that money, like that fame might not last. And
Right.
so it is really important, to be smart with that money. I'd say for now, I'll say no. I like to think that the people have it figured out, and that they'll be smart, with their money, and really keep it around, because that's the most money that they'll probably, or they could potentially make, in their entire life in 1 year. So hope they're all smart with it.
Yeah, and I agree with you. It's so funny. I think the people figure it out, and I also say that people need to have their own agency to look out for themselves. This is a dog eat dog world, and guys, no one's going to look out for you better than you. That includes parents. That includes anyone else outside of your probably your representation, NIL agent, your attorneys, the people who are really looking out for you. And one of the guys I think about, Fran Brown from Syracuse. Shout out to Fran Brown. Worked with him when he was a Baylor head coach at Syracuse. He has a policy. Now I don't know the details. So I haven't talked to Fran about it, but he has a policy that athletes have to save 40% of their NIL check. Right. I heard another guy I worked with on social media, Kaz Kazadi. I think he's a TCU now, head strength and conditioning coach. We worked together when he was a Baylor, working with RG3. And he in this video clip, the clip went viral. It's got like a 1.4 million views. He's a great motivational guy. You should definitely follow him. I'll send it to you after this. And he was asking guys, he was like, "Are you saving for retirement?" You know what I mean? It is like surround yourself with the right people, the right mindset, like we were talking about earlier. So I love your answer. I love your optimism. And I really like the answer that you have for that. So I think you're spot on. And here's the other thing: the story is yet to be written for a lot of people, right? All right. So here's a hot take that I want from you. What is the most overrated advice you hear people giving athletes about NIL?
Ooh, yeah, they want me to get
He didn't
spicy
know it's
now.
because the heat was
Um,
coming. Hey, if this is pitching, the heat just came.
yeah, overrated advice on NIL.
From
Man,
your seat. This is your hot take.
yeah, honestly, something that I mean, I know we did talk about the followers a little bit, and so I'll try to stay away from that as much as possible. I will say, if you're a student athlete, if you're not already creating content, or at least like have a plan about content that you want to create, there's no need, for representation, in my opinion. I think that a lot of athletes, they might get forced into something like this where people are saying, maybe it's like, someone at their school or a parent, they're like, hey, you need to make this NIL money. Go like get an agent, or they
Yeah,
have like a false almost misconception of how NIL works.
yeah,
And so for me, I would honestly just say that you don't need an agent. They're really just there to enhance your social media presence, help you out in any way, shape, or form. But if you're not posting content, then what is that agent going to be able to do for you?
yeah,
And so that's kind of, I guess I would say, my first, I don't know if I would really call it a hot take. I guess it's kind of me, speaking down on myself, but I just do want to keep it real. The other thing I guess I would really say is, like I'll just mention the followers stuff. Your followers do not, and this isn't necessarily advice, but your followers don't matter, unless you are creating content. You could have 150,000 followers, you could have 200,000 followers, you could have 10,000 followers. If you're not creating content, you're not going to be able to maximize your NIL potential. You
mhm,
might not be able to really benefit from it at all. The people that, if I'm getting emails for certain of my athletes, the ones that create the most content, and now all of them are creating great content, but I really would say the people who are creating the most, they get the most opportunity. And so
yeah,
it really is a numbers game in terms of that. Don't be scared if like one thing flops, like a video or anything like that. You're gonna have people that make fun of you. You're going
Yeah.
to have people judging you, but that's how you know you're doing the right thing. And that's kind of how I take my approach to my life as well. I say the same thing to all my athletes. If people are talking, then you're definitely doing something right. So if they're not talking, you're probably not doing enough. That's I guess that's really my biggest maybe piece of advice. I'll have to text you after the show. I might have some extra juicy ones that I
Okay.
can think of and
Okay.
shoot over your way.
Well, here's a good time for a timeout. We got to talk about this because we were talking about this earlier, right? Like AI has just taken over social media. That's why you're not, TikTok's not showing your friends in your feed. That's why YouTube shorts are not showing up to your subs, right? AI is driving it all. That's why we put together a 13 plays to win NIL in 2015. It's a free checklist. It's not fluff. It's literally 13 simple things that you can do to storytell, how to show up online, how to show up to AI. You could grab it at brand&athlete.com/13 plays. It's a great starting point. So you don't get left behind when the attention crash happens because it's happening. And by the way, this whole NIL Crash Series is powered by Hicks Sports and Entertainment. That's my shop. What we do is tell stories that matter, build culture that actually moves people, and gives athletes and brands systems that they can scale. So if you're watching, you're thinking, man, I don't even know where to get started. That's what you do. Pull up, get the checklist. And this platform, we have conversations like this one that we're having with Nick, who's bringing incredible insights. He's working with brands and sharing things that many of you guys, some of our viewers here, they're parents are in eighth grade. I have, Nick parents DMing me in the eighth grade. So there are people listening to you who have a child who's a tennis player, and they're already ranked pretty well. So I think this is so helpful. All right, before we get out of here, I want to talk a little bit about athletes and parents, just because that's in our wheelhouse. And some of the things that you're talking about, Nick, are just as applicable to them as they are the actual clients that you'll get a little bit later in life. So right now we're in August, and but it doesn't matter for everybody who's a freshman or anyone who's on campus, and they're walking in and they're saying, "Man, how do I storytell?" What are just some simple things that you help them with to help them, create the content that you're talking about? Because most people just are not getting enough reps, as you were saying earlier.
For sure. I think the first thing that I make sure to ask my athletes is what type of content or like what, in your opinion, like what do you like to talk about?
Yeah,
If you can't talk about something, if you're not interested in a certain topic, whatever it may be, then you probably shouldn't talk about it. Again, it boils down to the authenticity aspect. What do
yeah,
you like to talk about? That's something that I establish on one of the first calls that I have with any potential athlete, anything like that. And really, the second thing, I think not enough athletes, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, they don't take advantage of the logo that they are provided when they are on campus at these schools. If you're going to any school, take advantage of the whether it's your facilities, whether it is that logo, your gear
hmm,
that you're getting.
yep,
Post yourself in that type of stuff.
yeah,
That's a great way to make some content. I think pre-game stuff. You're really now some people it's different. Like you're more locked in, whatever it might be. But if it's like a day in the life for females, like that's something that female athletes
yeah,
they really cater to, especially their audiences. They want to see people like and they this is kind of like my I guess my biggest thing now is I've really seen that people they gravitate towards this authenticity but they gravitate even more towards relatability and
yep,
so when you can relate whether like it's an athlete, you're a high school athlete, for example, and you're looking your TikTok, if you're playing volleyball and you're in high school, a lot of your TikTok is going to be volleyball content. If you're looking at and you're able to relate to Skylar George, for example, who
yep,
I represent, then you're going to probably follow her, you're going to engage with her stuff. And so, really building that type of community is something that I preach. So, really, whatever it is, taking advantage of the
mhm,
resources around you and it can be as simple as a t-shirt. It can be as simple as a logo, whatever that may be. And really just including that in a lot of your content and
yep.
just being relatable and again, being authentic to your audience.
Two quick things before we get out of here. Have to ask you this: any news or things that you want to share with us? What can we look forward to? I love the drops that you do. Is there any nuggets that you'd like to drop exclusively here on Brand and Athlete?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely will drop a few things. I think I'll definitely say like I started Elevate literally like a year ago today, and so right around this time didn't really have a
Shout out to you.
huge.
Shout out to you. Shout out to
Yeah,
you. So,
well, thank you for that. I think I didn't have any like 1 year plan, 2 year, 3 year going into it, and then January came around, and I just decided like this is something that I really like. I don't want to work a job that I'm absolutely miserable at. And so really took Elevate more full time, more seriously. Actually, my first job out of college, I got forced to resign from because of Elevate, and I wasn't making any money. It was
yeah.
something that I was super passionate about. Um, once I'd say like May came around, I started to see, we talked about that process, everything like that. I started to see that process kind of come to work. All the work that I had been grinding in the dark for is starting to come to light. And we've worked now uh, Drip Drop, McDonald's, Adidas, CVS, C4, a ton of these awesome brands that I would have never thought when I started a year ago today that I would have athletes working with these brands. And it's all the credit in the world to these people. They have killed it on the content side. But I will say, the biggest brand that the content will go live no or September 1st. There's some content that's going to go live September 1st. I'll tease a graphic, maybe on my story a little before that. But we're working with the biggest. I would say this is the biggest deal that we've ever done. But it's the most. I guess for me, it's the coolest thing that I've ever been a part of. If you're a college football fan and you're a fan of the football toss at the conference championship games. That's a little hint that I'll give you of
Mm,
the brand
mm.
that we're working with. But
Okay.
we've got
Okay.
a ton of cool stuff coming up. And yeah, I won't reveal any specific brand
Okay.
names. I'll
Okay. We
just
respect
say,
that. Yes,
yeah,
we're a
I'll say,
businessman.
I'll say I've never been more excited, I guess,
Yeah.
just for the future of what's going on. We've got so many cool brands that we're working with and things that are in the background right now.
Yeah.
And go check out the Instagram and shoot us a
Wait,
follow
well, where can
if
people
you
follow
want
you?
to.
What's the handle?
Yeah, it's going to be at Elevate Sports Management. We've got a ton of graphics on there. And so I'm actually sitting on a few graphics right now because I want to wait and roll them out all at once to really get everyone just engaged with what we're doing and see the type of
Where can
work that
people
our
follow you
athletes.
online if they want to see, more about what you guys are doing, services, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. I really post the majority of the stuff that we're working on or that we've completed on our Instagram. Again,
Okay.
that's Elevate Sports Management. If you want to go to our website, that's going to be elevatesportsmanagement.com. And I can plug all this stuff in there, but it's also in our Instagram bio.
Yeah.
I know not a lot of people are just searching straight from their computers nowadays, so if you want to head to Instagram and then to the
Yeah.
website from there,
Perfect.
but really a lot of stuff is on our website, the types of brands we've worked with, the athletes that we currently represent, who we are as just an agency. And yeah, that's or I guess I'll just kind of say I'm super excited, but keep an eye out for the Instagram because some of the graphics that are coming out, um, they're fire, and I'm super just pumped to get them out there. And I hope that everyone can check them out and go follow the page.
Okay, before we get out of here, I have to ask you this. For any athlete or content creator, either starting or maybe they're midstream, what's your advice to them?
Yeah, I think something that really helped me, and allowed me to not compare myself to others, was to look at people who have kind of grinded their way to where they are now. And so, the first thing I would say is comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare yourself to a single person. Any athlete, content creator, whatever it may be. Everyone's journey really is unique. I think that's something that I've seen firsthand. It's if you start comparing yourself to anyone else, you're just going to lose track and lose really that authenticity or the special aspect of your own journey. And so just stay true to yourself. Really, the other, or I was getting at this, but I would go to certain people's pages and check out like what their Instagram was
Hmm.
before they started popping off. For me, I just had a meeting on Tuesday, and I was talking to a mentor of mine, and he's got a super successful agency that he runs now. And really, what I told him was, what the first night I remember I moved to Miami in January. Was like kind of homesick because I didn't know anyone that was there
Sure.
except my roommate. And the first night I'm there, I start scrolling on Instagram, and I was going to this guy who runs a successful agency's Instagram page, and I'm looking at his early videos from like I guess you would just call them like the early days. He was building his personal brand. This was in 2021. He's building that. He's grinding, and I do that, or I say that because these people were in the same spot that you were at. They were no smarter than you,
Mhm.
no more experienced, and literally all they did was continue to grind. And so, if you're an athlete and you're looking to start creating content, you're looking to just start building your personal brand, be confident in yourself, realize that your journey is going to be different than everyone else's, and really just continue and stick to the craft. Like I said, stay in process. Really just prioritize that process, that journey over any results that are going to come to you, because you never know when that viral video might hit, when the string of consistency might go with your videos, what might catch that algorithm. So really just keep going. And that's the biggest advice I'd give you.
I love it. Keep sipping. Stay in
Keep
process.
sipping.
All right, guys, this is episode 2 in the NIL Crash Series, How to Survive and Dominate in 2025. We're helping you guys. That's what it is, to survive, but not just survive, but to dominate in this new AI-driven world. We had Nic come on. You guys don't want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and that you're following us on all 5 platforms, right? Because you don't want to miss anything. The drops are coming fast. Man, Nic, I appreciate you coming on. I've got to have you come back, man. Elevate Sports is doing big, big things, man. And I love that people can find you on Instagram. Man, what is as we leave here, I like to leave people with a quick motivation that we can share with people. What is one quick motivational message that you could give to people?
Yeah, honestly, I'd say, just from my side, like I am a super motivational person, but I think wherever you are right now, like if you're in a good place, if you're in a bad place, really just know that whatever it is, it isn't going to last. And so, really staying in the in betweens. My favorite artist, his name is Mike, but he always says, there's the highs, the lows, and there's the in betweens, and you want to stay in those in betweens. Don't get too high, don't get too low. If it's not your time right now, your time is coming. But really, like I said, just stay in that process, stay in that grind, and really just lean on yourself and be disciplined. I think it's very easy to be short sighted and kind of want quick results, like I mentioned, and things of that nature. But nothing great or nothing worthwhile really comes easy. All that stuff takes time. It takes a crazy story. So if you've got to weather some storms, just throw on your rain jacket and you'll get through it. Don't worry too much about what's going on in the present moment. Really just continue to grind, just stay disciplined and keep. I think the biggest thing for me is just keeping the end goal in mind and remembering your why. Why did you start doing what you're doing? What's the point behind whatever it is in life that you're trying to go after? And really just attack it ferociously. That's what I'll leave you guys with. So stay grinding.
I love that. I love that. And one motivational message I want to, kind of building on that also, guys, remember there's a reason why the windshield is larger than the rearview mirror. You can't drive looking backwards. Doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Just know that change, you're one moment, one decision away from change and the next big thing. So keep looking ahead, keep striving. And I'm really excited for this conversation, man. I appreciate you coming on. I think it was educational, it was entertainment, it was motivational. I mean, you got me hyped up just even now when you're talking about staying in the middle and sipping, because like that sits with me, right? Like that
Yeah,
sits in my spirit, the sipping. Like I can stay in progress. But man, thanks so much, and we got to have you back, man. Will you come back? Because I feel like we could talk more.
yeah, hey, we can. It doesn't just have to be about NIL too. I think the biggest part, like for me, the biggest thing in my life is really, like I don't. I told you, I want to change the world. I don't want to just change an industry or change one life. I want a lot of people to be inspired. And so whatever it is, if we need to have a week one college football recap, if we got to have, and I'm a big Miami Dolphins fan, we've got a big
Let's
game
go.
up in Indy week one. If we want to talk some ball, definitely down anytime. Really, just appreciate you having me on,
Yeah.
and love what you're building over here, Jay.
Man, I appreciate the support, and like I said, it's just been wonderful working with you. We've had Cardell Thomas on, we've had Kennedy Webb too. It's just tremendous athletes with tremendous stories. It's always great working with you. So I always tell people, man, your representation is a representation of you. So I could say, from working with you that you do good work. You really excellent to work with, and you really rep the athletes. So thank you to you, and hat tip to you. And I have to say, much success, my friend.
Thank you so much, Jay. It really means a lot, my man. Appreciate you having me on.
Be the story.